The wind blew through the empty camp, cold and full of dust. Broken tents, burned crates, and torn flags lay scattered across the ground. The sky above was gray, and the land smelled like smoke and old blood. No voices, no movement, only silence. Liam, a human field technician and emergency rescuer, moved carefully between the wreckage. His boots crunched over ash. His helmet scanned for life signs. Nothing, until a soft sound reached his ears. A faint, broken cry. Not loud, like someone was trying to hide it. He froze. Another soft cry. It came from the east corner of the camp. Behind a collapsed dome shelter, Liam raised his flashlight and walked toward the sound. His heart beat faster, not from fear, but from hope. Was someone still alive? He pushed aside a broken panel and looked inside. There, huddled in the corner of the ruined shelter, was an alien woman, thin, dirty, and wrapped in a torn blanket. Her skin was a soft lavender, bruised in many places. Her long silver hair was matted with dust, and beside her, two small alien children, one barely walking, the other still nursing. The woman looked up. Her large golden eyes locked onto Liam's. She didn't move. She didn't beg. She just stared, as if waiting to be struck. Liam slowly removed his helmet. "It's okay," he said softly. "I'm human. I'm here to help." "Still," she said. "Nothing." The older child hid behind her, trembling. Liam reached into his pack and pulled out a sealed ration bar. He placed it on the floor in front of them. Then slowly, he stepped back. The woman didn't take the food at first. Her eyes scanned him, unsure. Finally, with shaking hands, she grabbed the bar, broke it in half, and gave the bigger piece to the children. They ate like they hadn't had food in days. Liam looked around. "Are there others? Survivors?" The woman shook her head slowly. "Gone," she whispered. Her voice was dry and weak. "All gone?" He stepped closer. "What happened here?" She didn't answer at first. Then she said, "They ran. When the warlords came, the strong left first, the men left the weak behind. Me. My children." Her voice broke. Liam clenched his jaw. He had seen many camps, many broken people. But something about this, about her, felt different. There was no madness in her eyes, only quiet pain, a deep sadness, a kind of dignity that refused to die. "What's your name?" he asked. She hesitated. Then, "Syria." He knelt beside her. "Syria, I can take you to a safe zone. There's food, shelter, medicine. Will you come?" She looked down at her children. Her lips trembled. Then she whispered, "Why?" "What do you mean?" "Why would a human help me?" she asked. "They said I was worthless without a male. They said my children had no value. Why do you care?" Liam blinked. He didn't know how to answer that, not fully. "Because you're alive," he finally said. "Because your children are still breathing. That's enough." Syria looked up at him again. For the first time, something soft appeared in her eyes. A flicker of disbelief. A tiny, fragile hope. She held out the smallest child toward him. "Take her. She's very sick." Liam gently cradled the child in his arms. The baby's skin was too warm. Fever. Her breathing was shallow. He reached for his field kit and gave the child a mild stabilizer shot. It wouldn't heal her, but it would buy time. "I'll help all of you," he said firmly. "But we have to move now. Can you walk?" Syria nodded slowly. She stood, but her legs wobbled. Liam grabbed her arm to steady her. She flinched, but didn't pull away. He lifted a second emergency ration, handed it to the older child, and guided them out of the shelter. As they stepped into the open, Syria looked around at the wreckage of the camp one last time. The wind tugged at her torn robe. "They said I was nothing," she whispered again. "Because I had no male. No warrior to protect me. They left me to die. Liam looked at her. Not anymore. She turned her eyes to him, shocked, unsure but listening. He held the child close to his chest and added, "Let's get out of here. Your children deserve more than this." Syria took a breath. Not a deep one, but a full one. Then she took her older child's hand, and for the first time in days, maybe weeks, she walked forward. As they left the ruined camp behind, the dust rose around their feet. But in her heart, Syria felt something she had nearly forgotten. Hope. The journey away from the ruined camp was hard. The wind was sharp and the land was empty. Liam held the smallest child close to his chest, feeling her tiny heartbeat against his jacket. Syria walked beside him, her steps slow and tired. Her older child clung to her robe, looking around with wide, fearful eyes. They didn't speak much. The silence between them was heavy, but not cold. It was a silence of strangers learning to trust. After 2 hours of walking, Liam stopped near a small canyon where the walls provided shelter from the wind. He scanned the area with his tracker. No signs of danger nearby. It was safe for now. "We'll rest here," Liam said. Syria sat down slowly, placing her hand on her daughter's forehead. The child's fever had dropped slightly thanks to the medicine, but her body was still weak. Liam pulled out his last energy pack and heating tablet. He activated it and placed a small can of stew over the tiny flame. The smell of food filled the air, meaty, warm, comforting. Syria stared at the flame, her eyes glassy. "You haven't eaten in days, have you?" Liam asked gently. She didn't reply. When the stew was ready, Liam handed her a cup. She took it slowly, almost unsure it was real. Then she broke off a piece of dried bread and shared it with her children. Liam leaned back, sipping his own small share. The sun was setting now, bathing the canyon in soft orange light. Then Syria spoke. Her voice was low. "In my culture, when a male feeds children who are not his own, it means something." Liam turned his head slightly. "What does it mean?" She looked at him, eyes deep and unreadable. "It means you take responsibility for their lives. It's a sacred bond. It means you are now their protector." Liam paused. He hadn't known that. He had only given food out of kindness, out of instinct. "That's just how humans are," he said with a half smile. "We help when we can." Syria shook her head slowly. "Not everyone helps. Not even my own kind. Not anymore." Her voice was soft, but filled with old wounds. She looked at her children, then back at Liam. "You didn't have to stop freeing us. You didn't have to share your food. You could have walked past, but you didn't." Liam felt the weight of her words. "I saw your children," he replied, "and I saw the look in your eyes. That's what made me stop." There was silence again, but this time it felt warmer. The baby shifted in his arms and made a soft sound. Syria reached out and gently touched the child's hand. "Her name is Nalari," she said. "And the older one?" Liam asked. "Kai. They're strong," he said, "like their mother." Syria looked away, her voice suddenly bitter. "They don't say that where I'm from. A woman without a male is seen as weak, as shameful. My mate died, and they called it dishonor. So I became nothing." Liam frowned. "That's not right." "It's law," she said. "Old law, the kind that doesn't change." Liam stared at the fire, then at Syria. "Then maybe it's time someone broke it." She blinked, surprised. "You would break another people's law?" He shrugged. "If it means doing the right thing?" "Yes." Syria watched him quietly. Then for the first time, her lips curved into the smallest smile. It was faint but real. "You are strange human," Liam chuckled. "I've been called worse." The wind whistled past the canyon, but the fire stayed strong. The children had eaten and were now asleep under Liam's emergency blanket. Syria sat close, her back against the rock. "Do you have a family?" she asked softly. Liam's smile faded. "Had. Lost them in the early days of the war. Earth got hit hard. I'm sorry, she said, meaning it. Liam nodded. I think that's why I couldn't walk past you. I know what it's like to lose everything. She looked at him more tenderly now. You saved us, she whispered. I just did what anyone should have done. No, she said. You did what no one else did. Liam didn't know what to say to that. As the stars began to appear overhead, Saria wrapped her children close. She looked at Liam with tired but calm eyes. In our stories, there were once humans who took in the broken, who protected the unworthy. Some called them mad, others called them angels. Liam smiled at her, a bit embarrassed. I'm no angel. No, she agreed. But tonight, you are my children's hope. And with that, they fell into a quiet sleep, side by side in the warmth of a small fire, in a canyon filled with shadows, but also, for the first time, in many nights, a sense of safety. The morning came cold and fast. Liam opened his eyes to the soft sound of breathing. Little Nalari was still asleep in his arms, her head resting near his chest. Kai curled up beside his mother, still clutching the empty food pack from last night like a treasure. Saria was already awake. She stood near the edge of the canyon wall, her long silver hair catching the wind. She was quiet, but tense, watching. Liam sat up. What is it? She didn't turn her head. Her voice was barely louder than the breeze. I saw something on the ridge, last night. Lights, moving, fast, too quiet to be traitors. Liam frowned. His instincts kicked in. He had seen raids before. Survivors hunted after being cast out. Could they have followed you? Saria gave a slow nod. My tribe. They don't allow outcasts to live long. Not if they have children. They say it poisons the bloodline. Liam's jaw tightened. You think they're tracking you? No, she replied. I know they are. Suddenly, Kai coughed, a loud, sharp sound that echoed across the stone. Saria flinched. Too late. From above came a hiss, then another. Then a voice, deep and harsh, spoke in Saria's language. Liam didn't understand it, but he understood the tone. Command, threat, anger. Liam jumped to his feet, eyes scanning the rocky ridges. There, figures. At least 3. Armed. Saria rushed to her children, pulling them close. Her voice shook. It's them. Elders from the council. They've come to finish it. Liam pulled out his sidearm, only half charged. He hadn't planned for a fight. He had come as a rescuer, not a soldier. We have to run, he said. Now. He grabbed his emergency pack, wrapped Nalari tighter against his chest, and motioned for Saria to follow. She lifted Kai, holding the child to her hip, and they ran, through the canyon's narrow pass and into the high dunes beyond. Behind them, voices shouted. Stone cracked as weapons fired. One blast hit the canyon wall near Liam, spraying rock and dust. They're trying to trap us in the canyon, Liam shouted. Go left, Saria yelled. I know a way. Old smugglers used it during the wars. They turned sharply through a narrow rock gap just as another blast scorched the ground behind them. The smell of burned sand filled the air. Liam followed her, feet slipping as the trail climbed up. His muscles burned, but he didn't stop. Nellari's tiny breath against his neck pushed him forward. He wouldn't let her die. Not like this. They reached the top of the rise and tumbled down the other side into a dry ravine. The noise behind them faded. For a moment it was just the sound of running feet, shallow breathing, and the cries of frightened children. Then Saria stumbled. Her ankle twisted on a rock and she fell with a sharp cry, Kai tumbling beside her. Liam stopped and rushed back. Can you move? I think it's sprained, she winced. But I'll try. Liam looked behind them. Dust clouds were rising. The elders were close again. Without another word, he scooped Saria into his arms, holding Nalari in one arm and her in the other. Kai grabbed his leg and clung as they ran together. I told you not to help us, she whispered through gritted teeth. Now they'll kill you too. I don't care, Liam growled. I've lost enough already. I won't lose you. They reached a crevice and ducked inside. Liam pulled out a camo cloak from his bag and threw it over the entrance. It shimmered, blending with the rock. They held their breath. Moments later, shadows passed outside. The elders shouted to each other, confused, searching, but the crevice stayed hidden. Liam pressed his back to the stone, still holding the baby. Syria leaned against him, her face pale, her legs swollen. For a long time, no one spoke. Then Syria whispered, "You don't know what this means. No one defies the elders and lives." "I'm not from your world," Liam replied. "I don't follow their rules." She looked at him. Her eyes glistened. Then, "What are you, human?" He looked down at the child in his arms, at the bruises, the tiny hands holding his jacket. "I'm just someone who knows children should never be punished for how they were born." The silence after that was heavy, but powerful. Syria touched his arm gently. "If we live through this, I will owe you everything." "No," he said, "you owe me nothing. But if you want to keep going, then let's survive together." She nodded. Outside, the shadows passed. Inside, a bond stronger than any alien, law had already begun to form. Hours passed before Liam dared to lift the camo cloak from the cave entrance. The sun was high now and the air was quiet again. No more shadows, no more shouting. They were safe, for now. Inside the narrow stone shelter, Liam helped Syria sit upright. Her ankle was badly swollen and her skin was pale. He handed her a water pouch and she drank slowly. Kai sat beside her, his arms wrapped around his knees. Nilari slept in Liam's arms, breathing soft and steady. They were alive, but only just. Liam looked at Syria, her face tired and silent. "We can't stay here long. By nightfall, we need to move again." She nodded weakly, then glanced at her children. Her fingers brushed Kai's hair gently. He saw something in her eyes then, not just exhaustion, but pain. The kind that lives deep, buried beneath silence. Liam leaned forward. "Syria, what are they really after? Why are your own people trying to kill you?" She looked down at her lap. Her hands trembled slightly. "They don't care about me," she said quietly. "It's the children they want." Liam's brow furrowed. "Why?" She hesitated. Then she finally said, "Because of how their father died." Liam remained still, listening. Syria's voice was soft. Each word felt like it was being pulled from her chest. "My mate, Valen. He was a warrior, strong, loyal. But when the elders declared war on a peaceful colony, he refused to take part. He said killing the innocent was not honor. It was murder." Liam's eyes narrowed. "He was right," Syria continued. "But they saw it as betrayal. They stripped him of his rank. And when the battle came, they pushed him to the front line without support. He died in the mud while they watched." Her voice cracked. "They called it a coward's death." Liam shook his head in disbelief. "That's not cowardice. That's courage." Syria gave a bitter laugh. "Not to them. They burned his name from the records. And because I was his mate, I was declared impure. The children labeled blood-cursed." Liam clenched his fists. "So they cast you out?" "They didn't even let me bury him," she whispered. "They told me to leave within 3 suns, or they'd take the children and cleanse the line." Liam felt a deep anger rising in his chest. "Monsters." Syria looked at him, her eyes watery. "I tried to hide, to protect them, but they tracked us. I begged the traders for help. They turned away. I offered my labor, my blood, my food rations. No one wanted us." She looked down at her children again. "Until you." Liam swallowed hard. His voice was low. "You shouldn't have had to beg. No mother should." She reached out slowly and touched his hand. "You ask nothing from me, yet you stay." "I stay," he said, "because I made a choice." She looked at him with new eyes. Why, Liam? Why risk yourself? For me and my cursed blood? Liam glanced down at Nalari, her tiny fingers gripping his jacket. Then to Kai, who was now looking up at him too. Because they're not cursed, he said. They're innocent, and you're not weak. You're stronger than you know. Saria was silent. Then she whispered, in the old ways, if a male defends the young without claim, the bond can become sacred, even if he's not of our kind. Liam raised a brow. You're saying there's a law? She nodded. A forgotten one, ancient. If you speak for them before a witness and stand in their place during judgment, they become yours, as family. Liam thought for a long moment. And would that stop the elders from taking them? It would shame them, she said, but it could also anger them more. I'm already on their list, Liam said with a small smile. Might as well give them a reason. Saria looked at him deeply. She saw no fear in his eyes, only something warm, something steady. Then she whispered, if you truly mean to do this, there's a place we must go, a shrine. It's old and nearly forgotten, but if we perform the rite there, the bond will be sealed. Then that's where we'll go, Liam said. Saria looked at him surprised. Even knowing what it means, Liam nodded slowly. Yes, I'll be their shield. She closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, something had changed. Her face looked stronger, not because the pain had left, but because hope had returned. I will guide you, she said. And if we make it, I will never forget what you've done. Liam leaned back, watching the children now asleep again. Then we start at dawn. Outside the cave, the sky turned golden. Inside, an oath had been made, without words, without ceremony, but powerful all the same. By sunrise, the wind had died down. The sky was soft with morning light as Liam carried Saria on his back, her injured foot wrapped in cloth. Kai walked quietly beside him, holding onto his mother's robe. Little Nalari rested in a sling across Liam's chest, her tiny hands, now stronger, her fever nearly gone. They followed a narrow path through sharp cliffs. Saria's directions were clear, even through her pain. The shrine is close, she said, hidden under stone and silence. It had once been a place of honor for her people, before the laws were rewritten and old ways forgotten, back when protectors were chosen by heart, not by blood. After hours of walking, they reached it. The shrine looked like part of the mountain, small, gray, and forgotten. An arched entrance carved with fading alien symbols. The walls had cracked. With time and sand had buried half the floor. But to Saria it was sacred ground. She placed her hand on the stone as if greeting an old friend. This place remembers, she whispered. Liam helped her down and laid her against the wall. Kai knelt beside her while Liam explored the shrine. In the center stood a circle of carved stones, each one with a symbol of unity, parent, protector, child. In the middle, a flat platform of black stone. This is where the vow is made, Saria said softly. Liam looked at her. Just tell me what to do. But before she could speak, footsteps echoed from outside. Too late. From the shadows, 4 figures appeared, tall, robed, and armed. Elders, hunters. Their leader stepped forward, face marked with old war paint and eyes full of cold fire. You've run far, Saria, the elder said, but your shame follows you. Saria didn't look away. This is sacred ground. You have no right here. The elder sneered. Old stones don't protect the weak. Then his eyes landed on Liam. And the human? You let an off-worlder carry your blood? You disgrace us further. Liam stepped forward, placing himself between Saria and the elder. Don't take another step, he said calmly. The elder laughed. You think to stop us, fragile one? Liam didn't answer. He turned to Saria. Tell me the words. She nodded, her voice shaking but steady. Place your hand on the center stone and say, I stand as shield, as voice, and as father. By old right, I claim the bond. Liam looked back at the elder, then at the children. Then slowly he walked into the circle and placed his hand on the black stone. I stand as shield, as voice, and as father. By old right, he said, loud enough to echo through the shrine. I claim the bond. The moment the words left, his mouth, a soft light shimmered across the stone. The air inside the shrine changed, calmer, deeper, older. The stone accepted him. The elder growled, "That right is dead. No one follows it anymore." Saria forced herself to stand, leaning on the wall. Her eyes burned with pride. The law may forget, but the spirits do not. Kai ran into Liam's arms. Nilari let out a happy sound, curling into him like he was home. The elder drew his blade. Then, die with them. But before he could move, a deep, powerful voice came from behind. Enough. Everyone turned. Another elder stood at the entrance, older than the rest, with white markings on his robe. His eyes were tired but wise. The shrine accepted the bond, he said, and by our own ancient rules we must respect it. But he's human, the first elder snapped. Doesn't matter, the old one replied. He spoke the vow. The child reached for him, the spirits answered. It is done. The leader gritted his teeth. You would let him steal our bloodline? The elder looked at Saria. No, I see no theft here. Only protection, where we gave none. Then he turned to Liam. You are now more than a guardian. You are their father, by sacred right. If you leave this place, no hand of ours will touch you. Liam nodded once. That's all I ask. The hunters turned and left, their footsteps fading into the dust. Saria collapsed to her knees, tears slipping silently down her face. Not of fear, not of sorrow, but of relief. Kai held her tight. Nilari cooed and reached out for Liam. Liam sat beside Saria and gently placed his hand over hers. It's over, he said softly. She looked at him, voice trembling. You didn't have to do this. I know, he said. But I wanted to. In the forgotten shrine, lit only by sunlight and silence, a human had rewritten fate. Not with war, but with a promise. The shrine was silent again. The enemy was gone, for now, but the air still felt heavy with ancient power. Liam sat close to the warm stone floor, holding little Nilari as she slept against his chest. Kai played quietly nearby with smooth rocks, humming a tune his mother had once taught him. Saria was resting, her back against the shrine wall. Her sprained ankle was wrapped tighter now, and Liam had cleaned her cuts. The pain on her face had softened but not disappeared. She stared into the small fire Liam had made with old roots and dry dustwood from outside. The flames danced quietly. Shadows moved across the stone walls like ghosts of the past. Then Saria spoke, softly, almost to herself. There's one thing left, she said. The bond was spoken, but in our ways, it is not complete until the fire knows. Liam looked up. The fire? She nodded. In my people's law, the ceremony of fire seals the vow, not for others, but for the spirits, for the ancestors. It tells them who will protect the children if I'm gone. Liam swallowed, surprised. You think you're still in danger? Saria gave a sad smile. I always was. Even now, with the vow spoken, they may come again. Another elder. Another blade. But if we do the ceremony, the children will be guarded by more than you. They'll be part of something old, something sacred. Liam nodded slowly. Then, show me what to do. Saria carefully sat up and took 2 small stones from her belt pouch, dark and smooth like obsidian. These are fire stones, she said, passed down by mothers for this moment. She placed one in front of her and gave one to Liam. We must each speak a truth into the fire, and we must not lie, she explained. If the fire hears, lies, it dies, and the bond is broken. Liam took a deep breath. All right. The fire crackled softly. The wind had faded. The moment felt still, like time had paused. Saria held her stone and looked into the flame. "My truth," she said, "is this I am afraid. I was strong once, I was proud. But when I was cast out, I felt shame. I feared I wasn't enough for my children. I feared they would die because of me." She placed her stone into the fire. The flame grew taller, glowing blue for a moment. Then, it settled. Liam watched, then held his own stone. "My truth," he said slowly, "is that I didn't think I could protect anyone anymore. I lost people I loved, I couldn't save them, I thought I had nothing left to give." He looked down at Nilari, then back at the fire. "But the day I found you, when your child reached for me, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Purpose." He placed the stone into the fire. The flame burst upward, bright gold. Saria's eyes widened slightly. The fire accepts. The ancestors are listening. Then, she reached for the third piece, an old piece of cloth, embroidered. With her family mark, she wrapped it around a small carved ring and held it out to Liam. "This is not marriage," she said, "but it is deeper than a promise. It means you are part of our line now. If anything happens to me, you will guide the children." Liam took it and tied it around his wrist without hesitation. "I won't fail them." Just then Kai walked over, sleepy but smiling. He climbed into Liam's lap without a word, and Nilari stirred, opened her golden eyes and let out a soft giggle as if something warm had entered her dreams. Then, boom, the ground shook. Liam jumped up. Saria gasped. Outside the shrine, a small blast echoed through the cliffs. A shadow fell across the doorway. A new figure stepped in, tall, armored in black, face hidden beneath a mask. Not a tribe elder. Not one of her kind. This was something else. Human, the voice said. Deep. Artificial. By touching her bloodline, you've drawn the attention of the High Lords. Liam placed himself between the intruder and the children. "Who are you?" "I am Judgment," the figure replied. "And you have broken the boundary between species." Saria stood despite her injury, fire in her voice now. "He saved my children. He carries the fire oath. If you harm him, you insult the oldest right of our people." The figure paused. Then, in a surprising moment, it lowered its weapon. "I came to kill," it said. "But the fire speaks. The oath is true." With that, it turned and vanished into the canyon shadows. Liam exhaled, chest pounding. Saria looked at him, voice low. "Even enemies honor the fire. For now, we're safe." He looked down at the children in his arms. "Then let's give them a real life. A future." The fire burned behind them, strong, steady, and eternal. The days that followed were quiet, but full of change. Liam built a stretcher from scavenged wood and cloth. He carried Saria carefully through the desert paths while the children rode on his back or beside him, their laughter finally returning, small but real. The shrine had marked them, and the vow had been witnessed, even by the enemy. Now, even the harshest ones would think twice before touching Saria's family again. They traveled across dry plains and old supply roads until the hills gave way to green. A rare valley where peace workers and forgotten refugees had created a hidden place called Haven Point. It was built from scrap and hope. Human engineers and alien healers lived side by side. No one asked where you came from, only if you needed help. Liam had been here once, long ago, back when he still wore a uniform. Now he returned not as a soldier, but as something new. A father. As they entered the settlement gates, a tall human woman in a long coat stepped forward. "Liam?" she asked, surprised. "You're alive?" Liam smiled tiredly. "Barely. Got room for 4 more?" The woman looked at Saria, limping but proud, and the children clinging to Liam's sides. She gave a slow nod. "You found something. Worth living for, didn't you?" Liam only said, "I didn't find it, it found me. Inside a warm shelter, Saria lay on a clean cot while a medic examined her foot. Kai sat nearby with a strange toy, turning it over with wide, curious eyes. Nilari had fallen asleep again, wrapped in a fresh blanket. Liam stood at the doorway watching them. The human woman from earlier walked up beside him. They say you invoked an alien oath, a sacred rite. I did, he replied. Do you even know what that means? Liam gave a small laugh. I'm still learning. She looked at him for a long moment, then smiled. Well, it suits you. Later that night, as stars filled the sky and quiet music played somewhere in the distance, Saria asked to speak with Liam alone. He joined her on the small porch of the shelter. She wore a clean robe now, gray with blue thread. Her hair had been brushed and tied back. I can't offer you riches, she said quietly, or titles. I was cast out, stripped of everything. Liam looked at her gently. I didn't come for any of that. She glanced down at her hands. My children, they smile now. Because of you. They smile because of you too, Liam said. You never gave up. Saria turned her eyes to him, the firelight from inside flickering against her face. I don't know what we are now, she said softly. Not mates, not strangers. Something in between. Liam didn't answer right away. Then he said, family doesn't always follow the old rules. Sometimes it's born in fire and survival, in shared promises. She smiled, full this time, soft, warm. I like that, she whispered. Born in fire. Nilari let out a happy sound from inside. Kai laughed at something. Saria stood with effort, limping slightly, and walked to the doorway. She looked back at Liam. My people called me worthless without a male, she said. But you gave my children a father, and in doing that, you made me whole again. Liam stepped beside her. You were never broken, he said. You just needed someone to remind you. Together they stood at the edge of the shelter, watching their children sleep peacefully. No more running. No more hiding. Only the start of something new. A bond. Not made by blood or name, but by choice. A mother, a protector, 2 children, a promise. And in the quiet night, under a sky filled with stars, a new kind of family began, stronger than any law, and brighter than any past.